to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
Guns, self-defense, concealed carry. This is the Patriot Defense Podcast. From the war room in Idaho's high desert, here's your host, Todd Echols.
It is a Wednesday morning, and we are back, and I am here with the Welcome to Gun series, not training series, Welcome to Gun series, episode 6, and today we're going to talk about choosing a gun. Now, this one, I'm going to talk to you about choosing a gun. Obviously, that's just kind of what I stated, but we also need to know this is kind of a personal preference. One of the things that I really dislike, and so as you enter the firearms world, if you haven't already, purchased a gun, or maybe you just recently have had some experience with this, you'll understand that as you go into purchase a gun, you start asking a lot of questions. You go into the store, we've talked about that. You go into the store, you look around, there is just guns all over the place in the store. And there's shiny ones, there's black ones, there's ones that are bright colors, there's big ones, mediums, little ones, revolvers, semi-autos. There's all these different types of firearms in there. And you have to be careful, because if you don't go in there slightly educated, like go into the store, like we've talked about this, right? Take a friend, take someone who maybe knows a little bit about firearms. You got to be really careful stepping in there. And I would encourage you all to go out and shoot a little bit and handle some firearms if you have that opportunity. I know that's not available for everyone, but if you have that opportunity, because as you walk into that store, you're going to get everyone's opinions from behind that counter. Everyone has an opinion. And I suppose you could look at my podcast as an opinion, because it kind of is. And I'm not going to tell you what gun to purchase or what gun should be for you. You have to come to that on your own. I'm just going to we're just going to talk about how you choose one. So when you go choose one, don't just take people's recommendations. You have to go feel the gun. You have to pick it up. You need to handle it. Shooting it would be great. If you have the availability to do that, fantastic, right? But you need to go in there. You need to pick up the gun. You need to handle it. You need to see if it feels good for you. Let's just discuss this. We're all human beings. We all are very individual people. We have different size hands. We do, different size hands, different length fingers, and you're like, why is this guy talking about my hands and my fingers? Well, that makes a big difference when you go to shoot a firearm, like when you find a gun that is comfortable for you, right? A lot of times you got to be careful when you go in. They're going to, if you're a woman, let's say you're a woman, right? They may look at you, the salespeople from behind the counter, and try to push you into purchasing a revolver or a pink gun or something like that, saying, oh, it'll never jam. This is the one you need. I'm here to tell you right now that that's probably not the one you need. There is nothing wrong with revolvers, but just because someone tells you that you need that gun, it's, they aren't thinking correctly, right? Sometimes those salespeople just like sell what's under the counter. So you need to go in there and get something that works for you, something that fits you. Now, a couple things we need to make you aware of a little bit, right? Small guns typically, and I've mentioned this before in other podcasts, but small guns typically have more recoil, right, than others. The smaller the gun, the less it weighs, the more recoil that you have to experience, because the less recoil the gun is going to absorb and handle. And so that's something that you need to be aware of. So little guns aren't necessarily for you, but now we also have to look at these firearms and go, what's your purpose for getting this firearm? Are you going to carry this gun, right? Different size people can carry different guns easier than others. I want to say right now that I'm a big full-size gun, or close to full-size gun advocate. That's what I think people should carry. And I think the people that don't want to carry those, I think everyone can carry one of those guns. The people that don't are unwilling to make the sacrifice to dress around the gun or use a proper holster, and maybe need to reevaluate how important it is for them to carry a firearm. Too many times people decide they need a little gun to carry because it's Comfortable. It's comfortable. I hate that. I hate that whining bullcrap. It's comfortable. No, carrying a gun should be comforting, not comfortable. Like, you're going to feel a little bit of sacrifice there. You've got a big weight on your hip. You got to, wherever you carry that gun, that's a big weight. That's a big burden. And not just the fact that the gun might be heavy, the burden of responsibility that comes with having that firearm. You don't want to forget it's there. Okay. This is not going to be super easy. It's going to take some work. It's going to take some due diligence. It's going to take a little bit of sacrifice, right? To actually carry a firearm and be able to do so. You're going to have to dress around it, all this stuff. So you need to pick a gun that's going to work for you, and you need to keep that stuff in mind. Now, there's all different kinds of guns. So are you going to carry this gun on your person? That's a question to ask yourself. Some people do not, and that's fine. Is it going to be just something you ride around it's in the safe and you take it out to go shoot it at the range? Because you could get some big ridiculous gun if you want, if that's what you want, right? Is it going to be a gun that you just use for home defense? It's just out at your house. Guess what? You can get a pretty large gun. I recommend a full-size gun, one that fits your hands, obviously, but a bigger gun for you. It'll be different than a bigger gun in my book, but a big gun for you is going to hold more rounds for that home defense weapon. Like, that's not a bad idea, right? So there's different ways to look at what you're getting. So you also need to do what? You need to see if you can rack that slide. You need to see if you can grab that slide, and different size guns have different poundages and strengths of recoil springs, and that has to do with that maintains and controls, helps mitigate the recoil of that firearm, but it also makes it harder. You need more force to actually rack the slide back. To chamber around, to clear a jam, that kind of thing. So there's ways that you can do that. There's different ways that you can rack that slide back, and we can get into those later, not on this podcast, but we can get into those later to where most people can rack. But some people have things like, I get a lot of older students, right? They have things like arthritis in their hands, right? They don't have a ton of, they have dexterity, but not a ton of strength necessarily in their hands. So racking a slide might be kind of hard for them, right? Triggers are completely different. Some triggers are long and heavy, right? They're long and heavy. Some are nice and short and crisp, and you can customize triggers too. So that is an option as well with whatever you, or depending on whatever you decide to purchase. But some people can't press those triggers correctly. They don't have the strength in their hands. Some people have a hard time pressing the trigger on a revolver. My mom included. She thought one day, I think she might have gone to a gun store without me, or she was talking to some friends. Oh, you need a revolver. Oh, you need a revolver. It'll be perfect. First of all, talk to your son who's the freaking firearms guy who does this for a living. Don't talk to your derelict friends, right? That's kind of what I told her. Don't talk to your derelict friends who were stuck in 1957. But she wanted a revolver. I said, here, Mom, shoot my revolver. Well, she's got arthritic hands. She couldn't press the trigger. Yeah, it fit her hand pretty well, but she couldn't press that trigger. She couldn't get a good trigger press. And you have to be careful, too, because if you have a hard trigger press like that in a revolver and someone with strength issues picks it up and they press the trigger 1, 2, 3 times, right? But then it starts to get a little harder. And I've always heard that thing, well, revolvers don't jam up. Like, there's no jamming in revolvers. It's just press that trigger and they go bang. That's not always the truth. Because if you half press a trigger, you don't have the strength in your hand, and you let up on your finger, then all of a sudden that cylinder locks up, and then you've got a jam that you have to figure out, right? Some people aren't strong enough to shoot a revolver because they're pretty snappy. They got the short little barrels. They got a good chunk of recoil that's real snappy, and they can't shoot it safely, or they can't control that. So they need to go to a semi-auto. And so then you have all these different calibers, right? When you're looking at firearms, 22, 380, 9 millimeter, 10 millimeter, 40 cal, 45, you name it, and all these different calibers, right? So you also have to choose a gun that works for you, right? And I tell everyone, pick the largest caliber that you can shoot comfortably and proficiently and are willing to go and train and practice with. If you buy a gun and someone says, oh, it's a big caliber, you just need one shot and you're good to go, That's bullshit. Like, don't believe them. You need to be able to shoot that gun. You need to be able to want to shoot that gun. And honestly, you hear everyone talk about, oh, that 22, that's not a good caliber. Well, it's a decent enough caliber. Like, it kills people all the time. People die with a 22 all the time. Is it the preferred for self-defense? Not necessarily. But if you can't shoot anything else, if for some reason you are recoil sensitive, have strength issues, you're arthritic, and you can't shoot anything else, but that 22 semi-auto is absolutely fantastic for you, and you enjoy shooting it, and you're good at shooting it, and you can handle and you can mitigate the gun, then guess what? You're getting a 22. There are a lot of fantastic 22 semi-autos on the market. Okay. Now, like I said, shoot the largest caliber that you can shoot, that you're willing to train with, and all that good stuff, right? And that doesn't mean bigger, doesn't mean better. And I know some people are going to hem and haw about that, but that's the truth. Bigger, larger caliber doesn't mean it's a better gun. It just doesn't. So I don't know if I probably just confused y'all, but just go in there knowing that there's not a gun that's, I mean, you're not going to go in there and don't have someone say, hey, buy that gun, that's the one you need. Feel the guns, pick them up, read the reviews, go online, watch YouTube videos, ask people, ask around. I guarantee you, if you know someone in your life, or call an instructor, we've talked about this before as well. If you know someone who does, I bet you they can locate. They know people who shoot and are into guns. They can locate that gun that you want, probably borrow it, and as long as you provide the ammo, they'll probably let you take it out and shoot it and see if that works for you. Like, that literally is the way to go. Before you buy a gun, try to find it, locate it, ask around. Gun people are great. I'll just tell you this right now. Gun guys are great. They love to let other people shoot their guns. Like, that is a thing. Oh, you want to shoot mine? Oh, you want to shoot mine? Because they love their guns. They like their guns. They've spent lots of money on their guns, and they want to share them with other people, right? You're always trying to bring someone over to your team. You know, the Glock guys are the worst. Oh, you got to have this Glock. Well, the Glocks are bullshit. But, you know, you got to have this gun. You got to have that. I do it. The guys that help me do it, right? We got these fancy new guns that we bought. It's like, oh, you got to shoot it. You're going to love it. Oh, yeah, you need to buy one, right? We're willing to share our guns. Let people shoot them and make those decisions for themselves. There's not one gun that's just perfect for everyone. That just doesn't work that way. So there you go. I probably confused you, but that's the next Welcome to Guns episode. I believe that was 6, if I didn't screw that up somewhere along the way. If you liked this, if you enjoyed it, I appreciate you for listening. I really do, and I'm kind of getting the hang of doing all these podcasts. And I do have to apologize. Actually, I just realized this. I forgot. Last week's episode on a Wednesday never uploaded. I'm going to tell you right now, it was recorded weeks in advance. It was scheduled to upload. The company that I go through to do that dropped the ball, and it did not upload. Luckily, one of our listeners noticed and let me know and said, no podcast today. And I was like, nope, there should have been. And I got to looking, and it wasn't there. So Thursday morning, as soon as I got a chance, I just had to get on, grab the file, and just re-upload it. And I apologize for that. I didn't drop the ball. I know that people are going, oh, Todd, he was good for a month promising all those podcasts. He was good for a month. I didn't drop the ball. This one was recorded. It was scheduled to upload. That was not me. It's the company that I pay to do it. They dropped the ball, and they heard from me. So I don't know if it's a glitch in their system or what. They did hear from me, but they didn't respond. They just take my money. That's all they do. But I apologize for that. And that could happen again in the future. But I don't pre-record all these, but I try to stay a couple weeks ahead of where I need to, because I did schedule all these as far as what I'm going to talk about on each episode. So cut me a little slack. This is probably the best I've ever done in the whole, I don't know, 10 years I've been doing podcasts or whatever. I don't know if it's been 10 years, but it's been a long time. So I apologize. Something happened, and I fixed it the next morning. So but yeah, share these with your family, share these with your friends, especially that new shooter in your life. I mean, maybe you know someone and you say, you know what, you got a lot of questions. I don't mind helping you, but you should check out this podcast. This guy, he does all this. Like, he goes over all this stuff, like one episode at a time. Some of the episodes get a little confusing, but the information is still in there. You just got to weed it out. So anyhow, thanks for listening. I hope everyone enjoys the rest of their week. I guess this is Wednesday. I guess it's hump day. So there you go. I will see you again in a week with another Welcome to Guns podcast. And that one will be episode 7, I believe. So I'll talk to you later. Bye.